Shawn and I remained friends, and she'd started her agency, and she'd be talking to me about it, and I had started my family. She started calling me every once in a while and talking to me about, oh, it's going really well, and but I really feel like I can't do it by myself anymore. I really need some help, but I don't want somebody who's still pursuing a singing career because conflict of interest, and that would be hard. And I was there with my new baby, and yeah, okay, I hear you. Yeah, that sounds hard. She finally said, "You're not getting it." She literally had to say that. Shawn, you're not getting it. I am asking you to come and do this with me.
Yeah.
All right,
Hey,
so
Shawn.
James wants to say hello.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hello, Mike.
God, it's so good to hear his voice
with
like that.
everything.
Hello, Mike. What?
Hello, Mike.
What?
Hi.
You knew that was coming when you saw him when he was 5.
Man.
He's going for his second sample lesson today. So
Yeah.
we're on the big college tour.
Oh, man.
And I'm kicking him out of the room now.
Yeah,
He just wanted to say hello.
Beat it, kid.
Bye. Have a fun time.
This is so weird. I always think about him as a baby.
Yeah.
Me too. The last time I saw him, he was like, a kid. And now he's a man.
He's as old as ADA artists.
That's true.
Yeah, he's a little bit. Yeah, pretty much.
When did the agency start officially? What was the first year?
Good job.
The lights just keep going. This is going to be fun. I'll be in the dark, and and the lights will just cycle on and off. Welcome to Glimmer Glass.
Well, how come you don't have a ring light? You need to have a little tiny ring light.
All I have is the gigantic one, and
I have a big one too. I have to get a little tiny one.
So let's start that again. So when did ADA Artist start?
Right. So ADA Artist was conceived basically in the winter of 2004, and it wasn't until officially we started May 1st of 2004. And we started with 12 artists. We pretty much that summer then expanded to 15 to 20 because you were one of the ones that came that summer. But I knew Shawn already. Shawn wasn't in the picture with ADA, but it was my baby. I started it by myself. I built the website myself. I contacted all the artists myself. I was in a tiny little corner in a tiny little apartment in Inwood.
Dongan.
Yeah.
Was
And
it 12 Dongan Place or 14? I can't remember which one.
it was this was me.
Arden.
That was 97 Arden. It was a studio apartment. And I gotta tell you, I get asked all the time, so how do you fund your business? And I'm like, a credit card.
Yeah. American Express.
I paid for it in plastic.
Yeah, 20% interest. It was fantastic.
So that's how I that's how I started my first gig. And I gotta say, before Shawn came on board, I was doing all of it myself, of course, but
yeah.
I had one experience that was very eye-opening. I went to St. Louis for the Opera America conference. That was that same spring. I opened basically May 1st, and the conference was in early June. I spent a ton of money just trying to get to St. Louis for the Opera America conference. And it was the weirdest thing. It was like the new kid in the high school. Nobody talks to you.
Yeah.
Like you were just, I was wandering around like, anybody wants to talk to me? Like, I have cards, I have business cards, look at me.
I have business cards. Remember business cards?
I spend money on a booth. I had nothing to put in the booth. There was a learning curve there, but yeah. I remember very clearly there were a couple of people that actually pulled me into the conversation, and one of them was Jonathan Pell, who's not in the industry anymore. And I'm always going to save a little piece in my heart for him, because he's like, Anna, come over here. Anna, meet Luna Rosenberg. Anna, meet Christopher Macbeth. And I was like, Thank you.
Right.
Oh, it was great, but I remember I thought, I think Opera America conference is going to be something that I'll do again in maybe 3 or 4 years. I
Yeah.
think I'm going to save my money for now.
What do you mean? We're a wash and cash these days.
But Opera America taught me. I mean, I got very involved later on in Opera America, but early on, it's a network opportunity, and I just didn't have a network yet, so it
Yeah.
was just all very interesting. Anyway, so that summer, then I also went to Santa Fe, which is where I got we started working together.
That's right. 2004.
Yeah.
I was like, I got an agent? Really?
2004.
Crazy.
You had something was wrong with your foot too. Didn't you get hurt or something?
Yeah, I blew my knee out on stage.
Yeah.
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 And I
Yeah.
remember I auditioned with Dead Man Walking. It was it was a, what do they call that? Foreshadowing. It was a very foreshadowing.
Yes, it was. It was, and I remember you sang that for me, and I said, "Oh, because I think you sang it for me before you sang it for the industry auditions," and I said, "This is what you need to sing."
And everybody else told me, don't do that. Or you need to go sing some standard rep. And everybody was so like incensed that I was doing that piece. And then when I finished it, it was like this big buzz. Like people couldn't believe like. And then years later. So were you guys friends before the agency started? Like, is that how, or did you guys become friends through the agency?
No, that's a funny story. Shawn, you were there before I was, so you can tell the story from your
was there
perspective.
before you? Wait, no. Anna and I were young artists together at Orlando Opera. And yeah, I guess I was there a year before you came. I was in my second year when Anna came as a young artist. So we
Yeah.
were young artists together, and we'd hang out in the van touring Monkey See, Monkey Do, as young artists do.
It was a van tour.
It was 2001 because I remember. Well,
2001.
no, 2000. It was 2000 because 2001 was when we left. Was
Yeah, it was 2000, the season of 2001.
2001, and it was like many young artist programs. It was you did some main stage shows, and then you did a lot of school shows in a band. Like we tour all over Florida.
Yeah, folks may not know Anna was a singer too, so that's like just because we're talking like we know all the things, but people are watching this.
Yeah. We were both singers.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, exactly. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to preclude you, Shawn. I was just like.
No, we were both singers, and Shawn was there a year before, and then I came in 2000, and we did Monkey See, Monkey You. There were 4 of us, and we sang a number of shows together, right, Shawn? You sang Marriage of Figaro. I was the Barbarina. You were Marcellina.
Right.
With the Carmen, with Denise Graves.
Mhm.
I was Frasquita. And I have a picture of that. We can send it to you. You can put it in.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
Got a great
drop it in
picture.
right now.
And
Also,
Mercedes.
our girl magic flute picture, which was one of the school things. We did
Oh, yeah.
magic flute with the orchestra, just excerpts from that as the 3 ladies. What else did we do? That season, the other show was
I can't remember.
Macbeth, and I don't think that you were in Macbeth. I was in Macbeth.
Yeah, it was a great gig, I gotta say. Orlando back then, I mean, I remember I moved in from Cincinnati. I was a young artist in Cincinnati, and then I got to Orlando. And I had a 2-bedroom apartment in a condo with the pool. I was like,
What?
It was amazing. I mean, because usually they house the mezzo and the soprano together and the tenor and the baritone together. But Shawn was in a relationship then, so she was in with her, her partner there, and I went by myself.
Nice.
So they say, well, where do we put her? So we put in the whole apartment, 2-bedroom apartment by myself. It was amazing. I wanted to quit. Like I really, when I was in Orlando, speaking of leaving the industry, that summer of 2001, I was so comfy in Orlando. It was such a great town, and I enjoyed it so much. I was like, do I have to leave? Do I really have to go somewhere else? I mean, this is so cool. I got a job in an electronic company that summer. but then that summer, Shawn went to New York, which is another funny story because she was going to leave to go to New York, and I connected her with Katrina,
Mm-hmm.
who lives in Astoria. And this is pre-ADA.
Yeah, this is all pre-ADA, but she hooked me up with Katrina, who needed somebody to sublet.
Yeah.
And actually in Orlando, as Anna's talking about how she was like, do I have to leave? I mean, Orlando, that's actually where I came to the realization that as much as I loved the work, that the lifestyle of a singer wasn't going to suit me.
Yeah.
And that's where I realized that I wanted a family. And it was huge. I mean, Anna remembers when it happened because I was in the back of the van literally crying just because I was like, I've lived my whole life to do this. I'm doing it. I'm making my life as an artist. And I realized that I wasn't going to keep doing it because I came to the realization that I really wanted a family, and that was huge.
Yeah.
And so when I moved to New York, I was kind of already in that mind frame where I was like, okay, I'm going to keep singing because I don't know what else I can do. I knew that I wanted a family. And so Anna hooked me up with Katrina and a great sublet in Astoria, Queens. And I told myself, I'm going to create a community. I want to feel like I'm part of something permanent, because that
Yeah.
was what bothered me about the artist lifestyle, is I didn't feel like I had connection to
No.
like permanence and family. And so I said, I'm going to pick a place, and it's going to be my place where I go and I meet people and I make a community. I picked the Irish pub. And one night I was hanging out there, and there was this really tall, handsome man throwing some darts. And
Was that tall, dark, handsome, dart throwing man?
18 years later, we just celebrated our 18th anniversary. So, yeah.
Wow.
And touring with the college tour for the boy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Shawn always.
If Anna hadn't introduced me to Katrina, I wouldn't have met my husband.
Yeah, it's
Isn't that funny how all like
really strange that like, because for folks who don't know, Katrina also works at 88 now, and was also a singer, or is also a singer. So like, it's really funny how like, there weren't a lot of agencies of your kind when you started. You were sort of the first, person that did sort of what you did, and that had a different sort of ethos. And like
no.
Shawn talking about, the importance for her, the value that she had about having a family and having community and want to have that stuff. And that's, I found that that's been a feature of my experience in the agency, is that, when I talk to a lot of my other colleagues, they'll talk about their agents or whatever, and it's very like, dog eat dog, and you take this contract and you do that's important for you to leave your family for 6 months to do this thing in Kraplakistan somewhere. And you, from the outset, you guys have always had at the front of your priority list the fact that people have families and relationships, and those are the priority, and opera always came after that. And do you think that
Opera.
is a function of how you guys started with each other, and that sort of embedded itself into your ethos?
It's so part of the mission and the brand of ADA that we are human beings first, and then and that artistry and that storytelling and that opera part of it is very integrated in who you are as a human being.
Yeah.
It doesn't leave separated from it. So I remember I always say that I want to represent artists the way I wanted to be represented, because I wanted somebody that took in consideration my entire three-dimensional being, not just my voice. So that was very important to me. And so I surrounded myself with people that thought the same way that I did. And that the career was very integrated into the growth of the human. Like where you are at 25, it's not where you're going to be at 45 or at 50. And I wanted to,
Case in point.
Unfortunately, what I was seeing in other agents was the hyper focus on the now and the how can I make money now? How can we have you sing for the biggest houses, the biggest conductors, the biggest, start making planning which I thought always it was short-sighted,
Mm.
because stars come and go, careers and paths, and building a life as an artist is a bigger arch than just a spike of an artist, of a star. I mean, stardom can fall in a second. You something happens to your voice, or you lose a child, or life just throws you curveballs, and that is gone. So you have to build you have to build your life and your career together. Like, they have to be so complementing of each other. So what I find very interesting that you say Katrina also works with us is, I've always wanted to be surrounded by people I trust,
Mm-hmm.
and people that I have my back.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's huge. Like, did I have other opportunities to work with other people in the last 18 years? Yeah. But I always, in the back of my mind, is this is us together doing this. I represent my artists, I represent my company, they represent me. It's we're all in this together, and we have to have each other's back.
Yeah.
So maybe I am a little bit, you know, no, I don't know. Maybe there's an issue there with me hiring my own friends and people that I like and people that I trust and sticking with them. Some people might see that as a bad thing. I rather do it that way and not get to where people think I should have gotten. I don't
That's
know what that
that's
is.
funny because
You know?
I know that, like, they always say don't work for family, or don't work with family, don't do business with family or whatever, and sometimes it's stretched to go friends or whatever. So Shawn, like, was it? How did you find that? I mean, did you find that coming into a role where you were working for your friend? Did that?
Ah,
How did that? How did that change your relationship, or did
oh,
it strengthen it, or did it? Or
it was
were there challenges that came along with that sort of mix up?
it's an
Role.
interesting story. I mean, because because Anna and I remained friends, and she'd started her agency, and she'd be talking to me about it, and I had started my family. So within a year of getting married, I was pregnant, and I had my first son in October of 2004. So her company, ADA, was about 6 months old at that time. And it was in the spring of 2005, where James, my firstborn, was about 6 months old or so, that she started calling me every once in a while and talking to me about, oh, it's going really well. And, but I really feel like I can't do it by myself anymore. I really need some help, but I don't want somebody who's still pursuing a singing career, because conflict of interest, and that would be hard. And I was there with my new baby, and yeah, okay, I hear you. Yeah, that sounds hard. And we had like 3 conversations like that before she finally said, "You're not getting it." She literally had to say that. "Shawn, you're not getting it. I am asking you to come and do this with me."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh no, yeah, no, I'm not doing that." And I mean, the reason that I said that mostly was because I just had a relationship, a business relationship with a friend. A friend had started an opera company, and I went on and was the education director and directing young artists and that sort of thing. And it soured the friendship, because they were new to that kind of relationship and that kind of leadership position, and weren't able to hand off completely leadership in other areas. And so there was micromanaging going on. I felt misused. I got really angry, but I just kind of let it go. But it soured the friendship. And I said, I don't want this to happen to us.
Yeah.
And I explained all of that to Anna. I was like, I don't want to come into a relationship and have it be something that then wrecks our friendship, because this means a lot to me.
I mean, you
And
can
I
work anywhere, you know. If the
exactly
risk is that you'll lose a friend
right,
because of the
and
job
then
you
you can
choose,
hire
you
anyone.
just get a job. Yeah.
But ultimately, her, she doesn't down. So she she bullied me and twisted my arm and said, well, basically she said, well, why don't you try it?
Yeah.
Why don't we try it? You can do it mostly from home, which was appealing because I had the baby.
Mhm.
Come in a couple times a week and let's give it a try. and see how it fits. And if you don't like it and it doesn't work out, then that's okay. And the thing about Anna is that she's great at delegating responsibility
Mhm.
and going, okay, these are your things to do, and letting the person do it.
Yeah.
And then throughout, my time at ADA, so I came on, a little, the company was a little more than a year old. And, I started out being somebody who like sent the mail and, did that kind of thing. And sometimes, honestly, I miss just sitting there and putting stickers on envelopes, because everything else is so incredibly complicated. And I'm like, wouldn't it be nice if my only responsibility was weighing a piece of mail, putting a stamp on it? But through the years, she kept giving me more and more and more responsibility and trusting me. And I started building my own relationships. And she has always trusted me. And I've messed up, but she doesn't micromanage. And so if anything, just our friendship grew stronger, and we found that it was a really wonderful partnership, in that we really built off of each other's strengths, and grew together. And I feel tremendously proud of what ADA has become, and I feel that I have a huge part of that, and that's because Anna makes sure that I feel that way. And I love and appreciate her so much.
And I can't do this without her. And I think, Mike, you know me for a long time now. I mean, I'm far from perfect. I am very strong in certain areas, and I am not in others. And I think a very good quality in a leader is to recognize the areas where they're not strong, and surround themselves with people that make them stronger.
Mhm.
And that's where I felt that I got very lucky to find somebody like Shawn and Katrina, who brings a lot of her own strengths into the mix. And over the years, we've had other people join the team and leave the team, and then take over the world, which it's very funny. We've had men join the team and they go and run companies after that. Um,
Weird. Weird how that
but
works.
let me backtrack a little bit, because you said something before, that you said there were no companies like mine when I started the company. And I do have to say that I did apply for other agencies, like bigger agencies, to work, and I wasn't given the time of day.
Yeah.
And I think that only encouraged me to do things my way and do them. I mean, and I was naive. I'm not gonna lie. There was a lot that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Um, but um, but I find that the model that we created then was replicated over and over after in the last 15 years. I think that if you
Yes.
look around now, we're not a novelty. We're not something new. We're basically the veterans of the boutique agencies,
Yeah, you're
because
like the kids would say you're the OG. The OG
yes, I
of
guess.
boutique.
Another
So,
tip.
but I'm very proud of the fact that we have been able to create a model that people want to replicate and that people want to follow. And the
Yeah.
idea of a family, the idea of that you have your artist back, and it's not about the bottom line as much as it is the trajectory of the artist and the relationship you build throughout them.
Yeah.
The other thing that I find that is very different from what we do is that we work at every level. Like, we work from tiny company that really deserves good artists, and the town that really deserves opera, to the bigger houses that have the mechanism and they pay the big bucks.
Yeah.
Because I've always knew that we want ADA artists to be all over the place, not just at the top. And that's a different thing. Like, some agencies focus only on the A houses and in the big orchestras. We believe that every single little tiny town in the United States and in the world deserves opera and deserves good classical music, or good music in general. So it's important to us to spend that time sort of even, I mean, some of those contracts are so tiny and we spend so many hours on them.
Yeah.
So
The first 10 years of my career, like, that's what's funny. Like, you guys stuck with me when nobody would hire my ass.
yeah, I mean, and the thing is, I do remember those years very clearly, and I never once, Mike, never once in my brain was like, my God, I don't make any money out of this.
Yeah.
Never once crossed my mind. All I was thinking is, how can I get my artists, how can I get Mike to be constantly performing?
Yeah.
Because you are as good as what you're doing right now. Who cares about you did 20 years ago? 10 years ago? You have to keep being viable. You have to keep connecting to the audience. You have to keep connecting to conductors and directors. And you only do that if you work, even if it's for tiny little money.
Yeah. Look,
So it was
the relationships that
amazing,
we built in those first years, and that's the thing that when I'm talking to, like, I've talked to people before, because people ask me, well, what about Anna? What about ADA? And the thing was, like, in those early years, a lot of the people that I met and worked with at that time are now running companies, are now conductors at A houses. I mean, like Francesco Miliotto. I mean, we worked in Lynchburg together, like, over and over and over again. And now he's all over the place. And that's the thing, is that you just don't know, this whole idea that you said something really good about who cares about what the past was or whatever, or even what the way the status is or whatever right now. You just have no idea who's going to last, who's going to ascend or whatever. So, like, the whole idea that you would just pigeonhole yourself, I'm only going to sing at these kind of houses or whatever, is crazy. And also, one of the things I like about, as I have, ascended to a certain level, I still work at those places now. Like, if I can work at a place that I can make my nut in a year, then I have, like, freedom to go to places that helped me, build my career and not lose money and not be, broke like I was back then.
Yeah, it's also, I think that, like I said, those companies that gave you your first opportunities, and this goes for every singer out there, there has to be a sense of loyalty. If they call and you're available and they allow you to curate a program or to be part of something special, a premiere, then you do that. You do that. If you can't afford it, you do it, because it reminds you why you're doing it.
Rob Mauro,
like what it was to start at the beginning.
I forgot what it was. There was a contract that came up, and I was like, yeah, I was talking to Rob about it, and I was like, I don't think I should do this because, it's kind of, and he was like, he goes, you have anything else going on? And I was like, well, no. And he was like, Mike, you're a singer. Sing.
Yeah. That's what that's what I always tell young singers. I said, there's 3 reasons to take a job. It pays a lot of money. It connects you to people that can hire you again, or is a role that you want to do. So at least one of them have to be there. Because if somebody tells you you're going to sing in the end of the world with nobody that's going to see you, a role that you're never going to sing again for no money, then you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And most of the times, at least one of those things are present and is worth it, because you are either connecting to somebody. You sang your first De Luna. Speaking of De Luna, you're doing it in Cooperstown this month. You sang your first De Luna Eugene in a concert, the first time. And I wish we had a recording of it.
It was Connecticut. Was it Connecticut or Eugene? I think it was Connecticut.
I think it was Eugene. It was Eugene, because the tenor was the guy who ran the company.
Oh, right. But yeah, Willie was conducting, though. Willie Waters conducted.
Willie was conducting.
Yeah.
But that was your first concert. And I guarantee you sing it a ton better right now.
I wish we had a recording of that. Maybe I'll talk to Andrew Bazant and see if they have an archival.
But I remember it. I mean, you were what, 38? I mean, 30. No, you were much younger than that.
20s. I was in my 20s, I think, late 20s.
You were young. But yeah, I remember we were like, oh my God, you're gonna sing De Luna? Oh my God!
I think I learned it in it was a short time to learn it, and it was supposed to be a concert version, but then we ended up staging it semi-staged. As it always happens. Oh, it's semi-staged. You mean fully staged? Just no costume? Yeah.
I remember that we were so nervous about it. I still also, I mean, there's all that. This is the beauty of growing old, well, growing older with your friends and clients, is that you have all these memories.
Yeah.
Like I still remember your first Giovanni in Connecticut, and that was
Wow.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
so
I
cool.
remember that.
I remember your first Rigoletto because you went to audition for something else, and the guy went, "Would you want to sing Rigoletto, Mr. Nick Russell?" And I was like,
No, I remember this story because Shawn was there for this, and
Yes.
I was going to audition for Giovanni, right?
it was one of those
Yeah,
lyric
I was
songs,
supposed
yeah.
I was put up for Giovanni, and then Shawn. Well, Shawn, you tell this story because you were there.
I mean, yeah, no, it's coming back to me now, but yes, I mean, I just remember. I don't. Was it Giovanni?
Yeah, I was put up for Giovanni, and
It was.
I was starting to change some of my rep. I was sort of leaning towards, and I had the prologue on my list because it
Yes,
was a party piece for me, and I knew I could sing it.
right. And they asked to hear that, right? And
Yeah.
then you left the room, and they asked about Rigoletto, and I
Like,
was like,
why did you put him up for Rigoletto?
well, of course, these are, this is something that we're starting to explore. Yes, that's very interesting. Yes, I think that would be of interest. Let me check us out. Oh yeah, he is. I'll back. Yes, of course. Just that was great.
Well, I remember I left the room. And
Yeah.
normally you go with me. You stay,
Right?
or you would be like a couple of minutes, and you were in there for like ever. And I was
For a
like,
while, yeah, because we were talking about that.
that can't be bad news.
Well, you know
No,
what?
I mean,
It's fascinating because it does breaks all the things we always tell singers. Oh my God, you can't sing this, you can't sing it until this, you can, but you know what? If it's the right time, it's the right time, and the companies will see it.
Yeah.
They see it. And I remember, Tonya, because I keep telling you that aria, because you won the Palm Beach competition with that aria.
Hmm.
Back when you were very, very, very young, they shouldn't
Yeah.
have been touching it. And you put it away because you were told you were a lyric baritone, so you shouldn't be singing that. So and we kept saying, no, bring it back.
I had a very, very powerful lady voice teacher who decided that I was going to never sing anything bigger than Magic Flute, and I should.
yeah, that was
Fascinating.
wrong. That was wrong.
I sang Magic Flute one time, and it was the scariest fucking Magic Flute. Jag.
It was a dark magic flute.
Oh.
But Mike, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I always knew you were going to go in that direction. I always knew it since the moment I'm like, what are we doing with the handle and the tie? I mean, I still have that video. I need to transfer those videos. But it's so good to see how ADA has changed over the years, and it just feels so comfy and it feels so like home. And I feel like I can call anybody and I can talk to anybody now, which I couldn't back then. Like it took me a long time, and the reason why I can is because I have artists of high quality that people want.
Yeah.
And I tell that to my younger agent friends. I say, if a company doesn't want to talk to you, they will once you have the artists that they want and they get to discover those artists.
Yeah.
You're just a mediator. You're just
you can only do so much in that role. I mean, if your clients can't bring the stuff, then you can't fool people into thinking that they're fantastic.
And the truth of the matter is that the mentality over the past 20, 30, 40 years is that agents make careers. We don't.
No.
We just facilitate. We open the door, but the artist walk through it. The artist is the one who builds the relationship. The artist is the what people want.
Yeah.
The artists move along without you, and they're fine.
Yeah.
So us sort of taking all that ego, because it's we're just facilitators. It really is. You do have to create a great relationship with companies so they trust you. Mm-hmm. The trust is extremely important. You want to do things right for companies to say, I trust that when your artists come into my company, they will be prepared. They will be good people to work with. The brand carries throughout the production. You know what I mean? So, but you guys get your own jobs. I mean, once the door is open and you go through it and you sing your auditions, then I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm negotiating. I can facilitate service, but it's it's you who they want, not us.
Well, what I was thinking about today was that, you know, in this time, like especially like during the pandemic, when so much like there was so much discussion about social justice and about equality and equity and things like that, and you guys, not only a pioneer in the boutique sense, but in the sense of truly a female led, a woman led company, and not led but staffed, and like pretty much it's Lady Town over there. And when you guys started, that what was true, that your agency was unique, but that particular demographic profile was unique.
Mm-hmm.
And it must have been, I mean, I know this to be true, but there must have been a lot of prejudice and sort of assumptions and things that you had to fight against, especially from 2004. You know, people weren't, the word woke didn't even exist back then. So what was that like, you know, being women in this sort of male dominant, like as far as agents go, a male sort of dominated industry? And were there challenges that you faced and incidents where you really, you know, had to fight through that kind of, you know, sexism and things like that?
Yeah, I have a couple of come to mind. One time, an older male agent said to me, I mean, he was very, very, very helpful, but he said, please don't ever take conductors. And I said, why? He's like, oh, they take a very tough hand, and I don't think you can handle it. Like, they're really tough. They're really tough to manage. Like, I remember going, but why can't I do it? You know, what's my impediment
I
that
think you
I
just
can't?
advised the little lady.
You know, so you're too little lady to handle really tough conductors.
Yeah.
So it was one of those opportunities where I was like, wow, interesting. The other thing is, eyes are on you. When you travel, when you go to performances, when you present yourself, I mean, you're looked differently than men. Men can do whatever they want when they travel. I mean, back then, men can flirt with the young artists, men can get drunk, men can do all these things, and they were the agent, they were the big agent. Nobody said anything about it.
Yeah.
There were the big agents that were flirting with little young boys or getting wasted and getting high with, I mean, there was all these double standards, but you were a woman, so you couldn't do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had an extra glass of wine, they're already watching you just to see what you were going to do. And I think those were double standards that now don't exist, or hopefully don't exist.
Yeah.
You know, we traveling alone, just sitting at a bar by yourself and before going to a show. And, you know, it's stupid. It was stupid, but we kept going. We kept doing our thing. We kept traveling and doing our stuff and dealing with it.
Yeah.
You know, but it was different. And I have an accent. I am a woman of color as on top of it. I mean, it's me and Justin and Charlotte Lee, who came much later than I did, that were not just white male agents. So it's phenomenal. And I got to tell you, not until I was starting to be pulled into gender parity issues, which it was around 2015 in the Opera America conference. It started having the Women's Opera Network, that I found that I then had a vehicle to help other women. Because before that, I didn't feel like I had the voice. And then I was pulled into that steering committee, which many times I think the reason I was asked is because I'm a woman of color. But it's okay, because I always say, you know, you get asked because of that, but then you'll make the space for others to come in.
Yeah.
And you utilize that opportunity to expand and sort of help other people. Since that day, I've had a lot of women that I mentor through the industry, and how to empower them, how to negotiate, how to, how to make their voices heard. And I feel like now finally women are starting to take the realm of the industries in a sense. I mean, we still have a long way to go, but all the news coming out of the industry of women taking general director, CEO positions. It's phenomenal, and it makes me very proud to be one of those people that's sort of started the ball rolling, basically. So
Shawn, was there a moment for you when, like, we all know about, the double standards and sexism and things in the industry, but was there a moment for you when you started, especially when you started getting your own clients and becoming a manager in your own right under the auspices of ADA, where you encountered some incidents where you were like, I cannot believe I'm in the 21st century and somebody's talking to me like this.
Well, I can't really think
And
of
name names. No, don't do that.
what I would like to share is that what I feel that I have found myself as a manager now
Mhm.
is I actually take what many people in the industry may have looked upon as weaknesses, and turn them into real strengths.
Yeah.
One of them being, for instance, I'm an incredibly transparent person. I'm not going to go to a company and make up lies about why an artist can't do something. If we have an artist who's at a company and they have another contract and they get an offer, I'm very transparent. I am very honest with companies, and they actually, now I see a shift in the entire industry, honestly, over the past couple of years towards greater transparency. And when I go to a company and say I need to get an artist out of a contract, I'm just very honestly negotiate with them about it. And they're very grateful for the way that I talk to them. And I have heard time and time again, and this just happened with you, Mike,
Yeah.
so you know this. The situation just happened with you. And what I get back from the companies is, I love to work with you. And there's no other company I love to work with more than you because of this. And I will bend over backwards then, say, how can I help you? Let me help you find another artist. And the fact, and those are things that in the past may have been viewed as weakness. Oh, you're not going in hard-headed and just being like, well, I'm sorry, my artist has something else, and that's it. And I go in and I'm like, listen, I am really sorry. This is what's happened. This is an amazing opportunity. What can we do? How can we make this so that everybody wins?
Yeah.
And that would have been seen as a weakness, but now I believe that that's one of my greatest strengths, is the fact that I'm very honest, I'm very open, I am right there. They know I will do anything for them and for my artists and for my companies. I work for everybody. And I think that that's a great weakness. And I think that that's part of me as a woman.
Yeah.
And that's something that would have been seen as a weakness, and now it is an incredible
Cool.
strength. And we
What
see way more transparency in the industry in the past couple of years than we've ever seen
Man, there was
before.
so much subterfuge and nonsense back in the day.
Well, there was a lot of moving in the shadows. There
Yeah.
was a lot of, just don't call me, I'll call you, I'll do my thing here. And there was no real true communication with the artists. I mean, yeah, we always sort of say, oh, we work for you, but no information was coming from the agency to the artist at any moment. So many artists felt always in the dark. And that's something that we try to fix. We try to make ourselves very available and give as much information as the artists need. The other thing is, it is on the artist's worst interest or to for us to overinflate their talent or try to sell them for something they're not good
Oh
at,
my God.
because they will fail
Mhm.
and we will fail with them. So sometimes we make decisions to say, that's not the right role for you. Let's just avoid that. I know you're free, but that doesn't do anybody any service if you sing something that does not fit you well, and that
Yeah.
the company is not going to look good and you don't look good. And that is something that Shawn and I constantly bring to the attention to our artists and to each other. Like sometimes when we're recommending people, and she called me on it, she's like, Anna, I don't think that's the right thing. Because here I am trying to say, oh, how can I get this artist busy? And she sometimes said, listen, I don't think that's a good choice. Or I tell her, don't put him up for that. It's never been a good fit. I don't want it to be one of those situations.
Yeah.
So our artists trust that we're going to do that we have their best interest in mind, and companies will trust that when we say this is the best candidate for this, they'll trust that we know the truth, that that's the truth, that we're not putting it on. So for us, that's huge, like that kind of ethics. And when that doesn't go well, Mike, when things go wrong and we made a mistake, it's devastating for us.
Yeah.
Like we feel devastated that we failed a company or we failed an artist, and it's very hard. I mean, we take it very seriously.
Yeah, you know what we talk about transparency and setting people up for success, which is a grand, fantastic thing. But like even in my discussions with other artists during the pandemic about like the management coalition and things that we're going through, one of the things that one of the hallmarks of some of the conversations I had was that I was talking to these artists and they talked about their agents like they were the enemy. Like they were somehow like on the other side of the table from them, and they were like had this sort of adversarial relationship with their own manager. And they were really like, oh, I'm gonna, and I was like, I don't, this doesn't compute to me. Like with my age, I know that that everybody on my team is on my team. And it's one of the, I mean, I think that you guys really have sort of changed the industry and changed what artists are, what they can expect from their agency. Because I mean, when I talk to people about our relationship and they're in one of those bad relationships, it blows their mind that I would have such a open and free relationship with my agents, because they're trying to protect something and the agent is trying to protect something, and secrets in that arrangement are power, and it's how these people build power. And you guys have totally turned that on its head.
Yeah, I think it's also because there is that power trip that some agents have, that they truly believe that they're so powerful in the industry, they can make you or break you.
Yeah.
So it creates a tension of the artist always having to please the agent, and or on the other side, if you're already very famous and your agent then serves you, then you treat him like shit. Like it's a power trip that doesn't benefit anybody.
No.
Like for me, I know what I do well, and I also respect what you do well. I cannot do what you do. You cannot do what I do.
Definitely
so we work together to make it happen and to serve everybody.
I can't return an email within a couple of days. I mean, how can I do what you guys do? Like I just sing and scare people.
It's good that you know that, because I think that it's important for people to know what we do is very detail oriented. It requires a lot of it's touchy. There's a lot of you're a mediator constantly. You're constantly taking information from here to here to here to here, and mistakes will be made. And because there's so much information coming from one place to another all the time. Yeah. So, but I also have the most amazing respect for artists and what they do, and the vulnerability that they have to go through every time they get into a role. So I always focus on giving good feedback, and I always focus on empower artists to take on their career in an organized way and have a support system. But what I also wanted to say is that we found ourselves to be problem solvers. Mm-hmm. That's my focus when I go to a company. Is not how can I sell you my artist. I always go with, you might have a problem that I can fix. Yeah. Let me help you fix it. It could be that you want to put this show together and you need artists, or it could be that you need a stage director and I don't have one, but I'll help you find one. Yeah. If you need a conductor and I don't have one, I'll help you find one. Because if I help you solve your problem, then that relationship only gets stronger.
Yeah. Well, as you know, as we wrap up this very fast hour that just zipped by,
Friends,
can you tell us, can you guys think of, a story that really defines your relationship, and, maybe something funny that we, but like something that really, like, can you guys think of a time when it was just like, this is the craziest thing that ever happened, or this is, Something
Yes.
along those lines.
Oh, Shawn, you go first. You go first.
No, because I need to know what your story is.
She was like, I want to know what you're saying first.
No, because I mean, it's for me, our relationship is defined in the community that we've built together and the love that we've shared over the years. I mean, I just remember going from that countertop at 97 Arden, which was literally just, you know, a space that was this big, to taking over the bedroom, to then moving to a larger space, and then it being, you know, the living room space. And after we would work, we would watch Big Love together, and
That's right.
Anna would make ribs. And I mean, I miss those times because now we're separate and we have our separate families and everything, but we still have our larger family, which is the ADA family. And for me, that is truly what we have built together. And it's just, it's so my existence now, and I owe it all to this wonderful friend. But I really want to hear Anna's story.
Yeah, you guys are like Jobs and Wozniak and Apple.
I remember we went to the Opera America conference in Colorado,
Yes.
and you were singing. I think you were singing Dead Man Walking in Central City, and that was when the opera conference was there. And we booked our flights for too long. Everybody was gone the last day. We woke up in the morning and there was no more activities, and our flight was not until that night. And we were like, we just stayed a little too long. I think we're okay. So we can't change our flights. We went to Six Flags.
That was so much fun.
We spent the entire day riding roller coasters.
Getting sunburned.
That's a team building exercise.
It was so awesome. I'm never going to forget that day, because we were like, okay, so what do? We just started riding roller coasters, which was awesome. And also,
that swing ride, I was like, okay, I can't do the swing ride. I mean, roller coasters are fine, going up and down and all over the place, but we got on that swings that just goes around and around. I'm all
in my sort of like early to mid 30s, I was with I was in a relationship with a crazy person, and she loved amusement parks, and I did too as a kid. But she wanted to go really bad, so I took her to this to the one in Chicago, Great America. Man, I thought I was gonna, like, by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I was so sick from her riding, and I used to be like this extreme, like I was crazy roller coasters all day long. And as I got older, I could not handle it anymore. Just completely, I was so motion sick that I went to one of those restaurants, you know, like where you pay $15 for a hamburger, and bought a hamburger, ate it, and then just put my head on the table and slept for an hour. I had to take a break.
Yep. No, but we had a great time. And the other one, this story is then, and I mean, it's not a big story, but I still very alive in my head, is when Shawn used to bring Charlie to the office and put him in a bouncy. And it's just right in our desk, there was Charlie bouncing. He will bounce for hours. Like, we were working there. I don't think I had Rusty.
He just bounced and laughed. He just bounced and laughed. He's always been very bouncy. He's still, when he plays games, he still gets excited.
Like, I don't know if you guys remember, but we used to, our office in Inwood used to be the hotel.
Yeah, no, I took advantage of that hotel many times.
I mean, it was...
If that bedroom could talk, oh, Lord.
It was crazy. Like, we had an office in the living room, and then suddenly some party will go, who are you? Hold on. Who's going on here?
There's like 4 people in there. What's happening?
Miranda. I remember when Pete just wouldn't let me come in the apartment.
That's right.
Pete came running at me, barking, and I could close the door and I'm like, Mike, Pete is not letting me in. So, yeah.
Man, you guys, I want to thank y'all so much for coming on. Like, you know, I don't think that we do enough when there are people that come along and break the trail for others. I think that we sort of sometimes fail to recognize that. And I want people to understand that you guys really did. You didn't just break the trail for your artists and give them a pathway to success, but you broke the trail for other agents and other agencies, and broke the trail for people from different backgrounds and from different genders to go ahead and break into this industry and sort of break the stranglehold that, you know, white guys had on this business. So, you know, I really want to commend you for that, and thank you so much for coming on. And thank you so much for being a part of my life for the past almost 20 years now. Like I guess can't do
A long time, but it's just the beginning. There's the 2.0, the 2.0 that is coming,
Boy,
which is going to be
about
amazing.
to get weird.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. It's been awesome. It's always a pleasure.
We love you guys.
Shawn. You too.
Thank you, Shawn.